Following on the 24th, we have our regular programming, pre-show and after show. Is Christianity true? There's a debate on MDD. Max is an atheist. Let's say fake Max, because I am the real one. And Steve is a Christian, and they will be debating, is Christianity true? So stay tuned, and you can click the notifications to be um, pinged when any of those live streams start. And we'll get right on it. Today, we have a catalog of weird mythical creatures.
The 25th, I'm doing a debate with like the fight the flat Earth Craig on the moon landing hoax. It just hasn't been formalized that, so you can expect that to happen on Sunday. And potentially May 3rd, we might be hosting another debate on here. Well, we'll let you know when that happens.
Very exciting. A lot of things are cooking behind the scenes, guys. So if you're not subscribed, you might want to click that button and enable notifications. Make sure that you're up to date with all of the content that is coming up on Matters Now. All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start with our topic of the day, which is a catalog of mythical creatures. So I tried to make it international. So we have creatures from different parts of the world, and the task I will ask the panel will for today will be to tell me which of these mythical creatures is your favorite, or maybe if you would like to answer, which of these creatures you would like to have as a pet. And as always, who would you like to dedicate this chat if you can think of someone to dedicate? If on some level this makes you connect with someone you remember from history, from your personal life, doesn't matter, you can dedicate to whoever you want. So let's get started. The first group of creatures, so the first three creatures that we're going to talk about, they belong to a group which are called the fearsome creepers. What are the fearsome creepers? It's a collection of mythical creatures which, as they suggest, they would cause fear amongst the loggers all across the US. We're going to talk about three creatures belonging to this group, the fearsome creepers. And the catalog for fearsome creepers is huge. So we're going to, at some point, repeat this catalog and expand, just like we're going to do with the catalog of weird deaths. The first one of these fearsome creepers is called the roperite. And I brought you an image, so it's an artist rendition of this creature. And as you can see, it's called roperite because instead of having a beak or a snout, it has a rope. And it is said that this animal used to catch rabbits with this rope, and then it would eat the rabbits. So this is the first one. There's not many details about the roperite, but I thought it was very interesting to mention because it's an animal with a rope. It's quite interesting. Now, the second of the fearsome creepers is called hide behind, and it is always found behind the subject it's following. So even if the subject was to spin, like we've seen in many, many movies, one that comes to mind are the cartoons of the Pink Panther that have this sort of hiding behind someone as they turn around, and because of this reason, the hide behind creature has never been seen. So as it has never been seen, we don't have many details on this particular creature. But I thought that the idea of a creature that you cannot see, it reminds me of, I think it's Doctor Who that has some statues that move uh, and always appear kind of behind you. I remember seeing something like that on an Easter egg on the Witcher 3 game. There were statues that moved while you're not looking at them, and
Yeah,
then you look at them. It kind of remind me of that.
that's
Correct me
creepy
if I'm
as well.
wrong.
It's in David Tennant's. No, you're correct. It's in David Tennant's uh,
No,
Doctor
it's
Who.
not just David Tennant. It's multiple doctors, but it's a Weeping Angels. They've been on multiple episodes, multiple seasons.
But there was a big
All right.
major episode with that one. Yeah.
Sure.
And the last of the fearsome creepers we have for today is called the Goofus bird. It is said that the Goofus bird is a bird that flew backwards because it was more interested in the place it had come from than the place it was going to, pretty much like many of us. And this bird also, as you can see in the picture, it builds its nests upside down, which is quite interesting for a bird. I wonder how the eggs would stay in the nest. Now, the next mythical creature, and we're going down to my neck of the woods, South America. The next is called the alicanto, and this bird is native to the Andes mountain range. Its body is made of gold and silver, and it only comes out when there is a full moon, and this bird does not project a shadow. It feeds off gold and silver ore and veins that it finds in the mountains. And due to the weight of the food this bird takes in, this bird cannot fly. The bird, the alicanto, emits a luminosity with either a gold or silver sheen, depending on what it has eaten. For the miners, it's very easy to follow the light this bird produces and discover gold and silver veins deep inside the mountain. They have to be careful, however, because if they're spotted by the alicanto, it will either fly away or it will lead the miners deep into the mountain. And when they are very deep in the mountain, it will extinguish its light quickly and fly away, causing miners to disappear in the mountains. A little bit scary, but very interesting bird nonetheless. And now we're moving all across the world to China. We're talking about the man bird. It's actually a duck, and this creature is half a duck with just one eye, one wing, and the man can only fly when it couples with another one. So a right-hand side man needs a left-hand side man to be able to fly. They stick together and move their wings in unison to achieve flight. And it is said that in China, they believe that the appearance of the man foreshadows floodings, as we all probably supposed by this point. If you see a man, beware means floods are coming. And now we're getting into a little bit more of the details. The thing with this script is that sometimes they don't have as many details. But now we're going into one of my favorite mythology collections, and we're going to talk about a creature called Agestis. One day, Zeus fell in love with Mother Earth, and you we can also refer to Mother Earth as the Titan Gaia. So Zeus fell in love with Gaia and did his business on top of a rock which had a name, the name Hades. This one, the rock, gave birth to a monstrous being 10 months later. This being had the two sexes and it was named Aegisthus. It had a lot of strength, but it also had an uncontainable lust. A lust which this creature satisfied with all kinds of beings. It made no difference. Any bus would leave Aegisthus at the door. So this creature would even get to the point, like the lust was so intense that it would get to the point of even disrespecting the gods. So in order to get this creature under control, they tasked Dionysius to stop the violent and lustful antics of the Aegisthus. And I completely forgot, we have a representation of Aegisthus in a statue. This is in a museum. And we can't really tell much from the statue, but yes, Aegisthus had both sexes. Now, Odysseus went to find this creature, and through some very secret trickery, because the chronicle I consulted to make the story, it didn't say exactly what trick Dionysius used. And there's always these details missing in the myths, which are like the crucial details. I remember from the catalog of weird death, the guy that died from his sister telling him a dirty joke, and the chronicle didn't include the dirty joke, which was one of the best things that would have produced that story. But I don't know, these details are for some reason missing all across myths and history, which I don't know, maybe you don't see it that way, but to me those are the key details on what makes these stories a bit more interesting. But in any case, Dionysius tricked this Aegisthus into castrating themselves, which that's something to convince someone. That's hard. From the blood that rushed out of this wound, a grenade tree sprouted. And one of the fruits was placed on top of the lap of the daughter of King Sangarius. And as you're all probably foreseeing by now, this made this woman pregnant. Out of this abnormal pregnancy, Attis, the hero Attis, was born, who in turn would suffer the same fate of castration as Aegisthus. I'm sorry, the tone of this story is a little bit. I should have made a PSA, like remove the children, because yeah, this is 17 plus. So I do apologize for that. We are still in the Greek myths, and another creature from Greek mythology is Lycas, a demon. He haunted the city of Temesa, where the inhabitants were forced to sacrifice the most beautiful maiden of the city every year to this demon. And here we have an example of a beauty contest no one wanted to win. I mean, obviously. Lycas was no other than the soul of a former partner of Ulysses, and his name was Politis. When Ulysses and his crew came upon the city of Temesa, This guy, Politis, got drunk and forced himself upon a woman. For this crime, the citizens lapidated him. And the soul of Politis, enraged from this lapidation, became a demon and started haunting the city of Temisa. In order to pacify the demon, he demanded a sanctuary be built in where the sacrifices and the tributes would be paid to him. But after some time, a pugilist, which is to say a fighter, a Greco-Roman wrestler, as they had in those times, came upon the city of Temisa, and just in the moment where a sacrifice was about to be held, Eutimo fell in love with the woman that was about to be sacrificed and felt that he had to intervene. So Eutimo fought and beat this demon, Lycus, and then threw him off a cliff. And I have to note the futility of throwing a demon off a cliff, because how is that going to be a solution? After all, the demon was already dead. So we don't have an explanation there for what happened afterwards with the demon. It is said that his skin was jet black, the skin of the demon, not Eutimo, and he used to wear a wolf pelt for clothing, and his face was horrifying. So after the demon was cast out, defenestrated from the bridge, from the cliff, he ended up marrying the maiden, and Eutimo lived to see a really old age. It is said that no one saw Eutimo died, and when he was already an old man, one day he just mysteriously disappeared. And now I have a very special and interesting, because you rarely hear, or before I did this, the research for this show, I had never heard a myth from Albania. So this next story is about a fairy called Melusine, and she was a fairy in Albania, and the story begins with Elinas, the king of Albania, losing his wife. In his grief, he used to go out hunting in the forest until one day he met this fairy in the forest and immediately fell in love and stopped grieving. He found her on a spring. This fairy was called Presina. As soon as he saw her, they fell in love, and he proposed marriage to her. Presina accepted, but placed a condition on him. Dun, dun, dun. As we have seen before on this very show, every time a condition is placed on someone in the myths, it is that very condition that proves futile, and it makes the undoing of the story. So the condition was that the king would never be present during the birth of their children until Presina specifically allowed the king to see their children once they were all good and ready after being born. The king agreed. And now, well, after a while, Presina got pregnant and gave birth to triplet fairy girls, one of which was called Melusine, which is the protagonist of our story tonight. So the king obviously forgot his promise and entered the room where Presina was washing the newborns. So Presina decided to leave the king, and I'm pretty sure the king was like, "Oh, please stay, I forgot." And Presina was a little capricious, and she said no and left. When the triplets grew up, they got to know the offense of King Elinas against their mother and took it to heart. So they tried to take revenge in order to bring joy to their mother. Melusine took charge of making the plan, so the triplets kidnapped the king already in his old age and took him to a remote mountain. Believing they acted justly, they told their mother. Presine, who was still in love with King Elinas, cursed the triplets and cursed Melusine in particular. She was cursed to every Saturday be turned into a snake from the waist down. She also said that the only way to make the curse go away and not be eternal was for Melusine to find a husband who would promise never to see her on Saturday. I'm wondering where do I sign up for this? Like having a wife that you don't have to see on Saturdays sounds pretty awesome. If this happened, Melusine would be allowed to live and die just like the rest of us. But in the prohibition, but if the prohibition, I'm sorry, was broken, her punishment would last for eternity. Melusine lived a normal life until in France she met the knight Ray Montaigne. This man was a descendant of the Bretons. They got married and she made him promise he wouldn't see her on Saturdays. And he will also never try to know why. Melusine, after getting married, founded, after all, she was a fairy with powers, founded the city of Louisiane in France and built a castle. With time, they had 10 children, one after the other. Now, all of these children had physical anomalies. One, for example, was wider than taller and had enormous ears. I think I know this one, like, pretty sure. Another one had one large and one small ear. And the third one had one eye on top of the other. And finally, the sixth one had just one enormous tooth in his mouth. So besides these minor details, minor for someone, minor for some people, everything was fine. But one day, someone very envious of the fortune of this family convinced Ray to spy on his wife. He went, you know how these people go when they try to convince you, maybe she has a lover. Aren't you curious why she doesn't want to see you on Saturday and doesn't even allow you to ask why? We all know this kind of people who feed you stuff from behind the scenes with their own agenda in mind. But Ray, eaten up by suspicion, and as we all saw from the moment the condition was placed, Ray spied on his wife on a Saturday and happened to catch her in the tub. He transformed into a snake from the waist down. What I'm wondering is, I don't know if maybe you're wondering the same. Where do you find the waist in a snake? Because they don't. The snake is all is all one. So I'm having a hard time picturing her. How much? I mean, the top half, yeah, that's fine. But how long was the bottom half? Maybe it was a a long snake. Maybe it was half a snake. We will probably never know. Now, he found Melusine, and at that time, the promise was broken. And Melusine was punished for eternity, turned into a snake with bat wings. Weird bat wings. She left the castle, and she only returned to foreshadow a death in the family. I think this one is the most weird, to be honest, because like there's some things that don't really make sense, like the whole thing of the snake waist and where did even the bat wings come from. But this was the last story I had for today. I tried to make a little bit shorter. Uh, uh, Ike was going to share a couple of stories with us too, but she's feeling a little bit under the weather. So Earl, hope you are you get to feel back. You get to feel good again soon, and you can go back to work tomorrow because it's important. We'll wait for you for the next show. Now, which one of these creatures did you like the most, and who would you like to dedicate this chat to? Ocean, you're muted. Your sound is not coming through. We'll take it to Billy while you fix it. No,
My
you're
sound
not.
is.
There,
I
when you
know it is.
yell,
I'm not.
what's happening?
What do you
I
mean?
don't. Oh, there. Now we can hear you. Your sound wasn't coming through. Are you like joking? Because
It's like
you're
acting.
coming in
Invisible
and out.
City.
It was acting.
Yeah, I'm playing. In the
Oh.
Invisible City, I like that show. I don't know. I'm sorry. It
It's
was working on
performance.
so many
Good
videos.
performance.
No problem. Billy, which creature do you like the most, or which one would you have as a pet, and who would you like to dedicate this to?
I liked the hide behind creature because of the mystery behind it, and I feel like I want to dedicate it to anybody who believes in something that's supernatural because it seems like it's something more of a supernatural type of thing.
Thank you very much, Billy. Isa,
Oh, there was a lot that we covered tonight. I guess with the creatures, yeah, it's interesting that we shifted from the creatures into like the mythological stories. I guess the story that there were multiple characters that I thought were quite interesting. I was thinking about the what was the name of it? The one that the hands were coming out. What's the name of that creature?
the hide behind.
The hide behind. I was going to dedicate the hide behind to Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, where you never see Doctor Claw, but you just see the hand and you hear the thick voice. So yeah, I was gonna do that. But yeah, I also liked the Man, the Chinese bird, and
Mm.
I felt really kind of connected to that as well. I thought it was kind of really interesting to think about, sort of kind of like a harbinger or a bearer of news, and the bird kind of functions as that, this bearer of um, tidings, and sometimes it's not necessarily good things like omens, you know. And
Hmm.
I was thinking of dedicating the Man to us on matters now, that we are always kind of on an adventure, and there's always some kind of being with an omen, similar to that recent story that we just had, uh, recent with the story of Jonah. So um, those are the two that I wanted to dedicate and connect with.
Thank you very much. My favorite creature is also the man. Uh, Mainly because I know some people who are human man-mans, because they cannot fly unless they meet their other complemental half. And it says a lot when someone needs to be complete. They need someone else and they cannot be alone. I don't. I mean, I like the idea of the creature, but I cannot relate to those people, honestly. And I wish that they could be fulfilled by themselves. I do think that when someone finds a couple, that you're not trying to find the other half that you're missing to fly. You're trying to find someone who you can fly together with, but each of us having their own wings. And that's also who I would like to dedicate this to. The people who are kind of the man-mans know that you are not missing a wing. You just need to sprout your own wings and fly on your own. I would also like to dedicate to Eutimo, because he fought a demon because he fell in love at the first time he saw this woman. And I do sympathize with the idea of fighting demons for love. It's a very poetic thing. And those are the creatures that I had for today. As I said before, the Fearsome Creepers catalogs is really, really big. One of the Fearsome Creepers is a creature that all of you know, which is Bigfoot. Bigfoot is one of these fearsome creepers, mythical creatures that are all 100% American, red, white, and blue.
There's
You
a
were,
Yeti too, and
I'm sorry?
there's a Yeti too. Like that type of cryptid seems to have some claims in other places, but they're slightly different.
Yeah, correct. The Yeti is it's from the Alps, I think, right?
Like Asia, it
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, but it's the book that contains these fearsome creepers is really interesting, and I also kind of like the idea that if you're going to invent a creature, the idea of the hide behind, like a creature that you cannot see because it's always behind you. I think that's the way to go when you're going to create a creature. I don't know what you think. And Libel tells us the Yeti is from the Himalayas. Thank you very much for that information. Do you think if you were to invent a creature, do you have any idea what type of creature you would invent? Anyone? Open question. Whoever wants to.
Oh, if I were to invent a creature,
Mhm.
I kind of am really into the sort of mythology of the changeling. So I would like to kind of have a creature that's able to transform into other beings
Mhm.
and able to not just transform in body, but transform in like sound. So, kind of, I think that would be super cool.
That's a very interesting idea, and you never get it. It changes so much that it forgot its original aspect, so no one will ever know
It
what the
really was.
creature actually looks like. That's a very That's a very interesting idea, Isa. Huhaman says a dragon that lives off of heart-shaped rocks, and this is a call out to George, and that is quite interesting. So I already have the next few shows planned out. I will let you know uh, what the next talks of the Tell Me That Story show are going to be about. Just a second, I'm gathering my list. So, next episode, Wednesday the 28th, we're going to talk about the summary and favorite tales of the book of 1000 Nights and a Night, or it's also called the Book of the Arabian Nights. On the following episode, we're going to cover crazy kings, princes, and rulers in history. This one is going to be fun. There's a bunch of absolutely insane rulers that were horrible people and did some really crazy stuff. Then after that, we're going to talk about some curiosities in Norse mythology, which we haven't covered yet. And the Norse myths are also way up there with the Greek myths in that they're very poetic. They are very interesting. The characters in the myth have a lot of personality and go about having many adventures. So we're going to touch a little bit on that, and then uh, through a request from Taking Back Eden FE on Wednesday, the 20th of March, we are going to do dragon mythology. So we're going to tell a couple of stories about dragons from different places, different cultures, because dragon mythology is really wide, and there's many things about dragons we can talk about. All right. Uh, Pedro says, Oz, where are my aliens? You will get aliens very soon. The show is tomorrow. Oz, give us a summary of, a sneak peek of what you will be talking about in tomorrow's show.
I got two things going on. I'm making a long form video on aliens and different claims when it comes to aliens, on sort of like building up from the beginning of the universe to like what we have today. These claims that people make, sort of like build the background to justify why we can discard some of the claims. So I plan on discussing hollow earth aliens, outer land aliens, Antarctica aliens, ancient aliens, and stuff like that tomorrow. So hopefully you guys come up. It will be a stream. I'm hoping to have people come on stage if they want to and sort of present their best arguments, and maybe we can look them up and see what the claims actually entail. You also have the House hearings, like late last year, I believe, that went over that, but there's lots of reasons to reject those claims as true also.
Thank you very much. I hope we get a few alien believers in the show tomorrow. That would be absolutely amazing. We're
It is
going.
a rug. Libella is a rug, actually, for front door.
Very interesting. I saw very recently, I saw a person with a tattoo like that in his head. It looked like his head was kind of going into his skull. It was absolutely crazy. We're going to read a few messages from our audience, and let me scroll here. Libel told us that there was a creature, this one. I always like the Wolpertinger, though thought to exist in Bavaria. It's a type of rabbit with wings, antlers, and fangs. Libel, I am taking note of this because we are going to expand these catalogs in the future. So I'll take a note of this creature and we'll try to find out more information about it for the next catalog of weird creatures. And another message that caught my eye was Pedro asked any chupacabras. And yes, the chupacabras is widespread in Latin America. We all have sort of our own version of the chupacabras. And we might tell some of those stories for the second episode of the catalog of weird mythical creatures. The one I'm on the fence, and maybe the audience can give me a little hand on deciding whether it would qualify as a mythical creature or maybe something else, is the Chorona, which is said to be a woman that lost her children and haunts certain parks and certain places, crying, like wailing. But that's more of a ghost, so I don't think it would qualify uh, as a creature, as a cryptid. What does the panel think? And we're going to ask that to the audience also. Would the Chorona be qualified as entering the catalog of weird mythical creatures?
Are they real?
No, of course not.
Well, then, yeah.
But it's more like a ghost. It's more, I don't know, maybe we can do a ghost thing.
I would say if you're making a claim to the type of ghost it is, it's a cryptid. Ghosts are supposed to be specific things, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They sort of fall into the concept of cryptids, I guess. But cryptids are supposed to be biological, not supernatural. So,
Mhm.
like saying something doesn't cast a shadow, that might not actually be a cryptid. That might be a supernatural thing.
Well, it also ate like gold and silver, so
Yeah.
definitely not natural. Um, I had another message I wanted to show. Crynonia says, I'm not sure this is the weirdest thing I've ever heard, as Nagas, Gorgons, and more all have the same kind of build. Uh, yeah, but the idea wasn't talking about the weirdest. That would be so subjective. So it was just weird in general. I wasn't, and they weren't in any order in particular. It's just I found some that felt were really weird, but I haven't given, like, this is I won't give all my cards in the first hand, so I need to save some of these other creatures to future shows. So I kind of chose the ones that I wanted to do today, but we're going to go into more in the future. Set Alpha 3000, friend of the show, always supports us and hangs out in pretty much all the live streams, says, I like birds, so my favorite is the Goofus bird. And the other comment I wanted to show was from our very own I Killed Earl, who was saying about which creature you would invent. Uh, what about helpful gremlins? They fold your laundry instead of stealing your socks. I would be down for that. That is certainly a creature I could get behind with. Right. So let's do a little bit of promotion. We have a lot of stuff coming up. As we mentioned, tomorrow, Oz is taking us on a journey through the internet. Either we're asking the question internet hoax or prophecy regarding the April 8th. I'm sorry, I almost fell again. The April 8th eclipse, which is only visible in the North American continent, Mexico, the US, and a little bit of Canada. We're going to go into detail that tomorrow, 8 p.m., have aliens come to Earth? Let's debate. That will be on the 23rd, also at 8 p.m. And then on the 24th, we have a debate on modern day debate. Is Christianity true? So we will have our classic pre and after show right here on Matters Now. Before we go, anything you would like to say before we close it out? Oz, Billy, Isa, thank you for being here.
No, I'm good.
Thanks for having me on your show. That's about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. And
I'm excited to hear.
you know you're invited all the time. So just shoot me a message if you want to come hang out during the show. Earl, I hope you get well from your ailment and you can get back into fighting form for next week, which I'm not sure if you like this particular topic, Earl, but Isa and I are big fans of the book of 1000 Nights and a Night. So I'm pretty excited to do that one. We're going to give a plot summary and then going to go into basically our favorite stories within that story. If you don't know it, I'll give you a sneak peek. It's a book where it has stories within stories within stories. It's a very interesting book. It's one of my favorites, actually. And we will cover the plot summary and tell you a few of those stories from that book. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Remember to like, subscribe, share it if you feel like someone will like our show, the stories that we tell on this show. And we'll see you the next week for the Tell Me That Story show right here on Matters Now, where your voice matters. Thank you very much and have a good night.